If you have a hard time keeping up with the language, you can just do that in Korean or in the language you are learning. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. On this channel, I am usually talking about language learning, but also multi-potentialed or multi-passionate, meaning people that have a lot of hobbies. For example, I'm doing crochet, but also other really creative hobbies. On today's video, I will talk how I am studying Korean by niche or by industry. Basically, how I am using one of my passion, one of my interests to study Korean. In general, when you're learning a new language, you want to make sure that you will be proficient in the areas you actually need. If, let's say, you are learning a language because you want to go in the country and work as a nurse, you want to make sure that you know the medical terms, but also everything surrounded by everything that is related to like hospital, taking in charge a patient. You need to know that it will not be useful for you to know all of the legal terms unless you want to become an attorney or working with legal people. So when you're learning a new language, this is the first things that you have to take into consideration. If you're learning a language for fun, then you can pick which industry you want to be interested in or which industry you would prefer knowing more about. Maybe you were like a very sporty person and health is very important, so you will spend more time watching video about health. I always recommend in how do you pick your topic by literally figure it out. What do you spend most of your time watching or what you're very interested in? For me, it's obviously health, sport, but it's also travel. I love to travel. I usually travel once or twice per year internationally. I really like to go to new countries. And one way that I find very useful was to link the Korean study with the language learning. So I'm doing something that is like habit stacking, and I've explained it already in a previous video that you will find in the link somewhere. But I think it's crucial if you have a hard time keeping up with the language, habit stack or use two things as one, because anything that you already do, you can do it in the language. So if you already watch video on like travel, you can just do that in Korean or in the language you are learning. If you are working out, you can put, let's say you're doing at home workout, you can put Pilates workout in Korean. Maybe you're not going to learn crazy amount of words, but you might use counting or maybe some other little words. You might look a little bit more into things in this area. You can always find ways to integrate the language. This is my roadmap, or more or less all of the different type of resources that I am using and how I am working with them. So number one is to definitely know where you're coming from and where you're starting. If you are very like beginner and you are extremely interested by politics, it might not be the best industry to look at. You have to make sure that the level that you're looking at kind of correlate with what you are capable of reading. I'm not saying, oh yeah, you should not. I'm just saying that if you like politics and you're a beginner, maybe think first about geography, like learning more about, I don't know, like countries, cultures. And then from there on, because there's a lot of shows on like foreigners in Korea, you'll learn a little bit about that, and then sociology, and then you expand to purely politics, right? In my case, I'm very interested in travel, so that's quite a doable topic. How do I do it? First, I love to start with a written resource. When I read, I think I soak the words better, and I'm also able to look for the translation when it's needed. I take the time that I want, I can read it again, I can read from the context, and also I can recognize other words and try to make sense of it. So the first thing that I do when I'm trying to get into a niche or industry in another language is that I start to look for written content. What I've done for Korean is that I subscribe to a newsletter that I've already mentioned previously. It's called Name of the Newsletter. When I go through it, I realize after 2 or 3 newsletters, some things are similar, some things coming back, but also things that are very specific, like, I don't know, the average annual temperature is not something that you would usually know, but once you're traveling, it's very important to know when is the rainy season, when is not. So those are very valuable information to know in general. That can help me not for the day-to-day, but it helps in the context. So that's number one. Get exposure to the vocab of the niche. I usually recommend having written content. In my case, I take a newsletter. The second step is to soak information through entertainment. I am a huge fan of watching Korean entertainment. I think those are just the most funny, and I don't know, I just really like it. I've came up with 2 shows that I really like, quite fun, and coincidentally those shows have some episode in the country that I'm going. So I'm traveling to Vietnam, and I'm studying. Also, I'm looking at videos about Vietnam travel from a Korean perspective, and I've watched this show before, but I want to rewatch it again, and it's called Yogi Legend, or like New Journey to the West. It's from a producer that I really love, and has some of the people that I really like watching. And there is also another show. It's called Pyongyang Ko, and it's also about 4 people, quite famous, either presenter or celebrities, going to Vietnam. So I would watch those shows with Korean subtitle when available, or just in Korean, and whenever I would not understand, I would rewind, and then I would have English. But it's so entertaining that I don't even think about it so much. I just do it on my free time. So that is really helping me a lot to soak all the information. Now that you have a little bit of vocab building, a little bit of fun, you can dive in. YouTube is really amazing for that, because you would have people, like I found, for example, videos of Korean people visiting hotels and giving reviews about the hotel. So you also learn about how rooms are set up and the levels of the rooms. You can also look, there were an amazing video of a guy that explained everything in terms of budgeting, like how much you would pay on average for this, for that, how to get from the airport to this, to that. Another things that I find super interesting is when you watch restaurant recommendation from Korean, you'll be surprised those are not the same that are recommended by Western. It's just completely different, the vibe, the style. That's also really great, because you can broaden your experience. If you're looking for recommendation, look in your native language, English if it's not your native language, and then look in your target language. And that's amazing, because you will have so many different input from different people. Those are a little bit of the different steps that I'm taking into building a niche or industry knowledge in my target language. That was a shorter video, but I still hope that you really enjoyed it and you've learned something in this video. See you next time.